What's going on, guys? Louise here. Today we're going to be looking at the tutorial HM-1020 working with panels. HyperMesh functionalities are all based on panels, so we have some pretty important useful stuff to cover today. Let's get down to it. We're going to start by opening our bumper file. To do that, we go to File, Open, Model, and look for the bumper.hm file. First thing off, we're going to learn how to just select any nodes we want. We go to the Tools panel, Translate, and the node selector is already active. So to pan around, we'll hold the Control key and the right mouse button and then move around. To zoom in, we keep holding the Control key and spin the mouse wheel downwards. Then we select any nodes we want using the left mouse button and they turn into a white dot. Now we could move them, but we're not going to do it just yet. Instead, we'll just unselect all of them by clicking on this button right here. Now, what if instead of nodes, we want to select elements? Then we click on this triangle, which is the entity selector on the left, and choose elements. That filters our selection to elements only, and they turn gray once you select them. We could unselect any of them by using the right mouse button. We can also select them by holding the Shift key, hold left click, and drawing a window. To unselect, hold Shift key, right click, and draw again. We can use a shape other than a rectangle. Just hold Shift, left click, and you can choose any of these options for selection. We'll use the polygon and choose some. Now let's try to use the extended selection panel. To do that, we click inside the yellow box and let's try the reverse. So it selects all elements that weren't selected and unselects those that were. Reverse again and try adjacent. All elements adjacent to the selected ones are also selected now. These options are pretty much self-explanatory and very useful sometimes. We can also switch the visualization mode between shaded and wireframe modes. We use whichever you prefer. I'll go with the shaded mode for now. Now let's move on to actually doing something with these elements. Select some and then we can choose how to translate them since we are still in the translate panel. We may choose to move them in the X, Y, Z axis or along the vector or by a specified direction according to points N1, N2, and N3. N1 and N2 define a direction and N3 defines a plane. But since we are translating, for now we just need N1 and N2. So go ahead, select N1, click on a node. It automatically asks for N2, click on another node, and type a magnitude and then translate plus. You can try to see what happens playing around with translate plus and translate minus. We could also have specified a standard magnitude equals to N2 minus N1 and then scaled it however we like. And as long as you keep in that panel, you can reject your choices and then use functions undo and do by pressing Ctrl Z and Ctrl Y. We can also want to know the distance between these two nodes and set it up as the magnitude of our translation. To do that, we press the hotkey F4 to go to the distance panel, and always using the hotkeys ensures that our selections on the translate panel are still selected. So click on a node for N1 and another for N2. That displays the distance between them. So we copy that using Ctrl C and return to the translate panel by clicking on return. Now we select the magnitude field and paste the value using Ctrl V, and then we can translate. We could also use a hand calculator inside HyperMesh by right clicking on magnitude, then type say 2.5 and hit enter. type 3.5, hit X, which is the multiplication sign. So it gives us 2.5 times 3.5, hit exit, and the multiplication appears on the field. Let's specify a new direction. So we're going to reject all first, select other elements, unselect all vector points, and define a plane by choosing our N1, N2, and N3. Then when we translate it, the direction of translation is parallel to the plane's normal. So that concludes our tutorial for today. I'm just getting started with a series of HyperMesh tutorials, moving on to Abstract later on. So stay tuned, give it a thumbs up if you learned something, and I'll see you in the next one.